It started with shouting, then came the bruises, until one night, the sound of breaking glass became the sound of breaking lives. A husband gone, a wife imprisoned, and 2 children left to carry scars that led them down paths darker than they ever imagined. Before we dive into the story, subscribe to the channel and tell us where you are watching from in the comments section. Now let's begin. If you asked the neighbors about the Williamses, they'd say, quiet folks. But that wasn't the truth. The house knew better. Houses remember. Walls remember. And the Williams walls had learned to whisper, through the dents behind the hallway painting, the splintered doorframe in the upstairs bathroom, the 2 wine glasses that never matched because one kept being replaced. "Mom, you okay?" 9-year-old Maya would whisper into the dark. "I'm okay, baby," her mother, Lena, always answered. A gentle lie dressed in a calm voice. It wasn't always like this. When Lena and Darren first met, it was church potlucks, Sunday drives past cornfields, and Darren lying on the grass telling her he could name constellations if city lights didn't drown out the stars. He started out as the guy who carried her groceries and teased Maya about her obsession with ladybugs. But dreams can sour when money wounds pride, and silence grows where apologies should go. Stress, bills, layoffs, those were the first excuses. Then came the second drinks, the third drinks, the slammed cabinets, the broken picture frames. In the beginning, Darren would cry afterward, forehead pressed to Lena's knee. "I don't know what I'm doing," he'd choke out. "I'm better than this." "You are," she whispered. Another gentle lie. Hope can be a warm coat that hides a broken arm. The turning heat came in the winter when the gas got cut. The children slept in 2 sweaters each while Lena made grilled cheese sandwiches on an electric griddle and said, "Pretend we're camping." Darren fumed. "I put in the hours. The system is rigged." He'd pace the kitchen like a lion that had never seen a field. One night, the pacing became pushing. The pushing became hands. The hands became bruises that Lena hid with scarves. He apologized. He stopped. Then started. Abuse doesn't arrive loud, it arrives like water on stone, drip by drip, until the shape changes. The children learned to read the weather in their father's footsteps. 3 beats meant he was sober and tired. 4 meant whiskey. 5 means hide, whispered 11-year-old Eli, counting under his breath like a mantra. He'd lead Maya by the wrist to the closet, the one that smelled like laundry and dust. Sometimes they fell asleep sitting up, heads touching, the blue glow of a tablet paused on a cartoon. That spring, a social worker came after a teacher saw a bruise on Lena's arm when her sleeve slipped. "We're fine," Lena said with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Darren shook the social worker's hand too hard and said, "My family's good. I just need a fair shot." What do you do when pride and shame share a bathroom? You open windows and spray air freshener. You cook and keep going. The night everything broke began the way danger loves to begin, ordinary. Rain, a grocery list, a late paycheck. Darren came home wet and angry, the back of his hooded sweatshirt glittering with rain. "They cut my hours," he said. "Because I spoke up. Because I'm a man who won't be quiet." "Let's talk tomorrow," Lena replied, setting plates on the table. "Please. The kids." He swatted a plate. It shattered like a tiny gunshot. Eli flinched. Maya hid behind a chair. "I'm talking now," Darren growled, stepping closer. His breath smelled like the bar on Maple. "Why are you always so calm?" "Are you even here, Lena?" "I'm here," she said, voice small. "I'm here." She always stepped between him and the children. Tonight, she stood in the doorway with her hair falling loose, one hand behind her back. "Darren, please," she whispered. "Don't." "Or what?" He grabbed her wrist and yanked it forward. A kitchen knife flashed into the light, she had grabbed it for potatoes earlier. In the struggle, it clattered to the floor, both of them startled. "You're threatening me now," he snarled, pushing her shoulder hard. She fell into the cabinets with a thud. Eli darted forward. "Dad," he cried. "Stop it. Please stop. Back up." Darren roared, shoving the counter, knocking over the salt, scattering it like snow. And then, moment and mistake married. Darren lunged, Lena raised her hands defensively. The knife on the floor slid under a foot. Bodies collided. A sharp intake of breath. A sound like air leaving a balloon. Darren staggered backward, eyes wide, blood blooming like a red flower on a white shirt. "No," Lena whispered, hands shaking. "No, no, no, Darren." Eli grabbed a dish towel. Maya started screaming. The sirens came so fast the neighbors swore they'd been circling. In the ambulance's strobe, an officer pressed Lena's hands behind her back. "Ma'am, you have the right to remain." "It was an accident," she kept saying, voice hoarse, eyes on Darren's still hand, the one that used to point out fake constellations. "Please." I begged him to stop. I begged. A neighbor filmed through her blinds. The video would rack up views. Strangers would decide what it meant. At the station, the fluorescent lights made everything look colder. A detective with tired eyes asked, "Did he hit you before?" "Sometimes," she whispered. Then he'd cry. And I would forgive. "Why didn't you leave?" "Because hope is stubborn. Because rent is a mountain. Because love and fear sometimes share a toothbrush." "I thought I could fix it," she said, tears slipping. "I thought if I was patient enough, kind enough." The detective sighed. "Ma'am, I am sorry. But a man is dead. And a family was shattered, a house learned to hold its breath." The next morning, the county charged Lena with second-degree murder. Bail was denied due to risk factors. The kids ended up at Aunt Rochelle's two-bedroom apartment, where the couch folded out and the ceiling fan ticked like a nervous clock. "I'll bring her back," Eli told Maya in the dark, teeth clenched. "I'll figure it out." But the system is a maze even for adults. For kids, it's a forest at night. In a courtroom where truth and perception wrestle, whose story will survive, the wife who whispered for help, or the husband who can no longer speak? Courtrooms have two clocks, the one that ticks and the one that stalls. The hearing began under the unblinking gaze of the state seal, with the gallery whispering like wind in wheat. Reporters leaned forward. The jury shifted in their seats. Lena's orange jumpsuit looked strange against her soft skin, her hair tied back with a rubber band a public defender gave her. "People versus Lena Williams," the clerk called. "Ready for the people, Your Honor," said Assistant District Attorney Collins, a man whose part in his hair was sharp enough to cut. "Ready for the defense," said Ms. Vega, calm, low-voiced, eyes like a harbor at night. Judge Marlowe, gray and solemn, adjusted his glasses. "Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will hear about a family. You will hear about sorrow. But your duty is to weigh evidence, not emotion." The prosecutor stood first, buttoning his jacket. "This case is not complicated," he began, pacing slowly. "A husband is dead. A knife was used. The defendant did not call for help until neighbors did. She had a motive, years of marital discord. She had an opportunity, she was alone with him. This was not self-defense. This was anger, dressed as an accident." He paused, letting the words sink. "We will show she made a choice." Ms. Vega rose, walking to the jury with a photograph in hand, taken years earlier, a picnic blanket, Darren smiling, Lena laughing, Eli and Maya sticky with popsicles. "Families are not complicated," she asked softly. "I wish that were true. You'll hear about bruises hidden under long sleeves. About a woman who asked for help in ways that were quiet because loud can get you killed. About a knife on the floor, a stumble, a tragedy." She tapped the photo. "You'll hear about love that tried to endure and fear that became the air. At the end, you'll understand this, Lena Williams didn't choose this. Violence chose her, over and over, until it chose them both. The first witness was Officer Griggs, who described the scene in crisp, practiced nouns: kitchen floor, blood spatter pattern, knife adjacent to right hand of decedent. The jurors wrote notes like they were learning a new language. Did the defendant say anything? Collins asked. She said, I begged him to stop. She repeated, it was an accident, Griggs replied. And her demeanor, the prosecutor pressed. Shocked. Hysterical, the officer said. But that's common. Common. As if grief could be filed alphabetically. On cross-examination, Ms. Vega approached. Officer, were there signs of struggle in the home? Yes. Broken plate, salt on floor, scuff marks. Any prior calls to that address? Griggs hesitated. 3. Disturbance calls. No arrests. Were any photographs of injuries to Mrs. Williams taken on those visits? He glanced at his notes. Yes. Minor bruising noted once. Ms. Vega nodded. Thank you. Next, a neighbor, Mrs. Patel, wrung her hands on the stand. I saw. I filmed, she said, eyes wet with shame. I was scared. The shouting scared me. In the video, Collins said, we hear the defendant say, don't make me do this. Would you agree that sounds like a threat? It sounded like fear, Mrs. Patel whispered. We're asking what it sounded like, not what it felt like, Collins corrected. Objection, Ms. Vega said. Argumentative. Sustained, Judge Marlowe replied, tapping his pen. Then came the social worker, Ms. Grady. I visited twice, she said. Mrs. Williams denied danger. That's common in domestic violence. Victims are often protecting their partner and themselves. Protecting themselves by inviting more danger. Collins asked, eyebrow lifting. By trying to keep the peace because leaving can be the riskiest moment of all, Grady replied. Eli sat behind the defense table, fingers white around the edge of the bench. His knee bounced. Aunt Rochelle put a steady hand on his shoulder. Breathe, she whispered. During the lunch recess, reporters approached. Do you believe your mother is innocent? One asked, thrusting a microphone too close. She's not a headline, Eli snapped. She's a person. Back in session, the medical examiner described the wound, clinical and final. A single puncture. The angle could be consistent with a fall, or a thrust. So, Collins asked, could it be murder? The examiner paused. It could be, he said. Could it be an accident? Ms. Vega countered. It could be, he repeated. 2 clocks ticked. Both were right, both were wrong. When Lena finally took the stand, the room held its breath. Mrs. Williams, Ms. Vega said gently, how did you meet Darren? At a church car wash fundraiser, Lena answered, a sad smile flickering. He was wearing a neon vest and sunburn. He made me laugh. How did you feel about him, before? I loved him, she said, voice cracking. I loved the good parts like they were all the parts. And the other parts? Lena stared at her hands. They grew. The yelling. The pushing. Then the other things. He'd always say sorry. I'd believe him. I wanted my kids to have a dad. Tell us about that night. She did. The rain. The shattered plate. The knife on the floor. He grabbed me, she said. We both slipped. I don't even remember picking it up. It was on the floor. Then, she swallowed hard. Then he was bleeding. And I was screaming. Collins rose slowly. Mrs. Williams, why didn't you leave? Her eyes sharpened. Because sometimes leaving is an address on a tombstone. You expect this jury to believe that a knife just leapt? His words were slick with disbelief. I expect them to believe that fear causes accidents, she said. I expect them to believe people are more than their worst moments. Closing arguments were a battle of mirrors. Collins painted Lena as a patient storm, the kind that waits to break. Ms. Vega painted a woman drowning, hands reaching for light. The jury filed out. Their chairs were the only things left that looked sure of themselves. Hours trickled. Then a day. Then two. Eli and Maya spent a night on Aunt Rochelle's pull-out couch, listening to cars pass like waves on a shore you can't see. On the third afternoon, the jury returned. The foreperson stood. We the jury, in the case of People versus Lena Williams, he swallowed. Find the defendant, guilty. A sound escaped Lena's throat, small, stunned. Ms. Vega closed her eyes. Eli grabbed Maya's hand. Sentencing came a month later. Judge Marlowe's voice was heavy. Given the loss of life and the danger observed in the home, the court sentences you to life imprisonment with the possibility of parole after 30 years. Lena swayed. A bailiff steadied her. Eli stood up, face hot. She protected us, he shouted, voice cracking. She protected us. A gavel rapped. Order. Order. The news cycle moved on. The Williams kids did not. With their family shattered and the state calling it justice, where do two children carry their anger when there's nowhere to set it down? Aunt Rochelle tried. She worked 2 jobs, left casseroles with sticky notes saying, heat at 350, hugged them too tightly. But grief is a third roommate that doesn't pay rent. Eli started missing curfews. Maya's A's turned to C's, then to notes in the margins, see me. The world felt tilted. Why should we be good? Maya asked one night, feet tucked under her on the couch. Being good didn't save Mom. Because being bad won't bring her back, Rochelle said softly. It'll just take you further away. But anger is magnetic. It found Eli at the basketball courts, in the boy with a chipped tooth who said, you're fast, and, you got hands, and, you want to make real money. At first, it was rides in borrowed cars. Then, handling packages he didn't open. Then, a juvenile arrest, possession, intent to distribute. Eli stood in a fluorescent hallway again, a public defender asking his date of birth twice. You're 18, the officer said, surprised. You look younger. It's the nights, Eli muttered. Maya found a different shadow, older girls who spoke like their laughter could cut chain link. They shoplifted lip gloss, then phones. We're not stealing, one insisted. We're collecting interest the world has already took. One afternoon, carrying a purse that wasn't hers, Maya ran into a woman outside a storefront with a mural of hands holding a cracked heart stitched with gold. The woman wore an orange t-shirt that said, in big letters, Haven House, we listen. You okay, sweetheart? The woman asked, stepping lightly into Maya's orbit. You look like you got a scream stuck behind your lungs. Maya's chin lifted. I'm fine. Good, the woman said. Then help me carry these flyers and tell me a lie that big again. Maya snorted despite herself. Who are you? Name's Denise. I used to sleep in stairwells and cuss out anyone who said the word future. Now I help run a community center. We do art therapy, court support, re-entry programs. We feed people who are hungry in ways food can't touch. That mural is yours? Maya asked, eyes on the gold-stitched heart. A kid painted it after his brother got shot, Denise said. He said, if I can paint it, I can hold it. That sounded like church to me. Denise didn't ask about the stolen purse. She asked about the ache. Within a week, Maya was at Haven House on Thursday nights, sitting in a circle where people spoke like confessions and miracles were made of the same breath. My mom's in prison for killing my dad, Maya said one evening, the words falling heavy then floating. I feel like if I forgive her, I will betray him. But if I don't, I will betray me. An older man with a voice like gravel cleared his throat. Forgiveness ain't a pardon, he said. It's a pair of shoes. What does that even mean? Maya asked, half smiling. It means you put it on, you walk. Some days they fit. Some days they blister. But you move. Eli came because Maya begged. He sat in the back, hoodie up, arms crossed. He watched a circle of people talk about parole hearings and panic attacks that show up during fireworks. He told himself he wasn't staying. Then Denise said, "Has anyone here ever been told, be a man," in a tone that meant, be a wall? Eli's arms uncrossed. He started working in the community garden behind the center, hands in dirt instead of deals. "These tomatoes are stubborn," he said, sun hot on his neck. "Most good things are," Denise replied. They still slipped. Healing isn't a straight line, it's a cracked sidewalk with dandelions pushing through anyway. Eli skipped a session. Maya snapped at a facilitator who asked about nightmares. But they kept coming back, the way the tide keeps returning even when the shore is ugly. The big change came when Ms. Vega visited Haven House on a Tuesday, invited to speak about appeals and policy. She saw Eli and blinked. "You grew taller," she said gently. "You grew kinder," he shot back, then flinched. "Sorry. That was unfair." "It's okay," she said. "You earned your anger." After the talk, Eli cornered her by the coffee urn. "Why did the jury choose like that?" he asked, voice low. "Why didn't they see her?" "Juries see through their own windows," Ms. Vega said. "Some windows are clean. Some are fogged. We filed an appeal. It may take years. We're arguing about the judge's instructions on self-defense and the exclusion of a prior incident. That's not magic. But it's a door." Later that month, Haven House started a Speak Your Stone night, storytelling on a small stage with a single mic and a single rule: tell the truth you wish someone had told you. Eli and Maya signed up, then panicked. Denise grinned. "You can read," she said. "You can sing. You can stand silent for 30 seconds and breathe." Eli went first. He stepped to the mic and said, "My name is Eli. I'm from a home with 2 clocks. One told me to hurry. The other told me time was up." He talked about counting his father's footsteps, about the night of sirens, about a courtroom where he felt like furniture. He admitted he'd carried anger like it was a medal. He admitted he'd put down the medal in a garden that did not ask about his past. Maya followed. "My name is Maya," she said, voice shaking. "I used to think love meant never leaving. Now I think love means leaving when staying breaks your bones." She talked about the closet that smelled like laundry, about the day she lied to a social worker because her mother smiled and her heart couldn't stand to make that smile drop. She said, "If you're listening and you're hiding, I know your hiding place. I lived there. There's a door. I didn't see it until someone held a light. People cried quietly. People laughed at the small jokes that keep pain from drowning you." Afterward, a teenage boy with a scar on his eyebrow tugged Eli's sleeve. "My dad," he started, then trailed off. "Thanks for saying it out loud." In the months that followed, the siblings joined a restorative justice program that paired survivors and people who'd caused harm, never the same case, always the same principles: accountability, amends, repair. Eli wrote a letter to himself at 13. "You deserved safety," he wrote. "You were not weak for wanting your father and fearing him at the same time." Maya painted a mural across from the courthouse, 2 hands releasing a bird stitched with gold. They visited their mother once a month. The first time, they could barely speak for crying. The 5th time, they played spades at a plastic table and laughed at how bad Lena still was at the game. On the 6th visit, Lena passed Eli a folded napkin. Inside was a poem. "You got this from a workshop?" he asked, surprised. "Wrote it," Lena said, eyes bright. "I started a group inside. We call it Stand Still, Tree. We talk about roots and storms and are still standing anyway." "They let you?" Maya asked, incredulous. "They can't stop a tree," Lena said, smiling softly. The appeal would take years. Some days hope felt like a thin blanket. But change had started moving with small feet. Eli got a job at the community center as a youth mentor. Maya started an online series called Goodness Out Loud, short clips of people telling one-minute truths. They ended each episode with, "If this is your story too, you're not alone." On the one-year anniversary of Speak Your Stone, the room was packed. Denise took the stage. "We tell stories here to turn pain into lanterns," she said. "Tonight, our lantern bearers are Eli and Maya Williams." The cheers were the kind that lift you. Eli stepped to the mic. "My mom taught me to make grilled cheese on an electric griddle," he began, voice steady. "She also taught me that courage is not loud." He looked at the crowd, at the kids sitting like question marks. "If you're from a house with 2 clocks, I'm not asking you to forgive. I'm asking you to find the room where your breathing is allowed." Maya took his hand. "We're not fixed," she said. "We're trying. And trying is a path." They finished together. "If you come from a dysfunctional home, you can still be a good story. Find the right people. Hold the right hands. Walk." A letter arrives 2 weeks later, State Appeals Court, envelope thin but heavy. Ms. Vega texts, "Call me." Eli stares at the unopened envelope, heart pounding. Is it a door cracking open, or closing with a thud? Violence grows in silence. Asking for help is not betrayal, it's survival. Justice systems can miss the messy truth, communities can help catch what falls through. Your origin is not your destiny. With the right support, mentors, community, purpose, you can transform inherited pain into light for others. Healing is not linear. Slips don't erase progress, they make the path real. If you're living in fear, document, reach out, and step toward safety. Your future deserves your courage.